This might be one of the greatest nu metal songs ever written, and technically it doesn't exist. This video is going to be a bit of a lengthy one, so just bear with me, okay? So when I was growing up, I played The Sims 2 on PlayStation 2. One of the many things that you could do in this game is buy a radio and listen to music. And The Sims 2 actually had a licensed soundtrack. Paramore and Trivium were just two of the many bands that had songs in this game. The game also had different radio stations based on different genres, and me being the edgy 2000s kid that I was, I put it on the nu metal station. And at this moment, I heard a song that tickled my ear holes, for lack of a better term. It definitely was a nu metal song, but it leaned more toward the butt rock side of nu metal, if that makes sense. And unfortunately at the time I never figured out who the artist was or what the song was even called. And then about a year or two later, my Sims 2 disc got completely scratched beyond repair, so I had to get rid of it. But that melody would remain stuck in my head for years to come. And keep in mind, this is 2004 we're talking about. I was probably 8 or 9 at the time, and my family didn't have internet until 2007. But even when I got internet, I still couldn't look up the song. We didn't have programs like Shazam at the time, and I didn't know the lyrics because, for those of y'all that don't know, every single song in The Sims is sung in Simlish, the made-up language for the game. So the only lyrics that I was able to decipher was gibberish at the end of the day. And obviously throughout the years I would get more and more into nu metal, so I figured at some point the song would just cross paths with me again, right? Well, it never did. So at that point, I think it was safe for me to assume that it didn't come from any of the big names in nu metal. It didn't sound like Korn, Deftones, Limp Bizkit, or any of those guys. So I figured maybe it came from one of the more obscure bands like Spineshank, Orgy, or maybe even Powerman 5000. But listening back to it now, it doesn't sound like any of those guys either. But I was determined the search was going to come to an end. So I got a Nintendo Wii that's modded, I booted up Sims 2 on GameCube, got a radio, and I heard the song for the first time in nearly 20 years. So I Shazammed it, and nothing. So I figured, okay, kind of weird, but maybe it has something to do with the lyrics being in Simlish. So I went to the Sims wiki, and I finally found it. The song is called Kremelsh. I do not know how to pronounce that. That was uploaded by a user called Eric Valadares, who's actually the vocalist on this particular song. But in the description of the video, he unfortunately mentions that this project was never a band. He was simply asked to record vocals on this song because his band at the time was recording a CD in the same studio. He goes on to mention that all the instruments were recorded by one person and the song was just basically Frankenstein together. And I think it's safe to say that the guy in question is actually John Cobbett, and if I remember correctly, he worked on quite a number of songs for The Sims. So in a way, it kind of sucks that my 20-year-long search for this obscure nu metal song ended up not really being a project altogether. But I'm hoping that this video will add some new life into the song altogether. And maybe, just maybe, we could convince EA to release an official version of the song, maybe even in English. And judging by how money hungry that company is, they could do it. So what do y'all think about this Sims 2 nu metal track? Let me know in the comments below.